Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Draft Room. This is the NFL Draft Podcast of the Packernet Podcast Network. So we're going to continue on with our little journey here. We're going to look at some of the pro day news that's been coming out. We've got a handful of different schools that have held their pro days, so we'll dig into that. Today, we are going to be looking at Illinois, Oklahoma, and Georgia State. And then again, we will take a break, come back, and highlight one of these players. I don't know which one yet. We'll go through this, and whichever one seems the most interesting that we haven't talked about yet, that's what we'll do. Also, wanted to make a little announcement, and this might get a little repetitive because I want to make sure to get it on all the different shows just in case, whatever. So if you hear this 3-4 times, I apologize. But what I have decided, I had mentioned before that I had tried to kind of work on some stuff in the background. I was trying to get some like cool grades and stuff, and it's not coming out the way that I wanted it to. And because we're a month out, I made a decision, or better yet, I made a proposition to my son to see if he was interested, and we are going to officially join forces. He is going to do the grades for our big board. I'm going to focus on all the notes and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to start migrating his grades over, and then from now on, when he does grades, it'll be on, I guess, our board now. So, again, if you'd like to subscribe to that big board, it is kind of like a draft guide, lots of detailed information in there. I got to continue hitting that. Everything we talk about on here is going to be added, and again, just a massive database of information. You can also create your own boards, et cetera, over at NFLDraftGrades.com. Okie doke, let's get started with, not that. No, that's weird. It actually does start with USC, even though we did USC the last time. Let me just see if there's any additional interesting notes, and then we'll move off of that, because we already did USC. It says all 32 teams are on hand for the Trojans workout with some important personnel coaches in attendance. Baltimore Ravens Director of Player Personnel JoJo Wooden, Denver Broncos Director of College Scouting Brian Chesson, Los Angeles Chargers Safeties Coach Adam Fuller, Vikings Assistant Receivers Coach Darren Montgomery, as well as the team's defensive backs coach Gerald Alexander were on hand. So too were the Pittsburgh Steelers Director of College Scouting Mark Sadowski and his counterpart with the Houston Texans, Mosique McCurtis. Finally, the Dallas Cowboys had wide receivers coach Junior Adams in attendance. Mekhi Lemon obviously being the marquee focus of the USC game. Again, though, I'm pretty sure we should have finished with that last time because that was the last one. So let's move on to the Illinois Pro Day. The Illinois Pro Day was held Thursday, March 12th at the Illinois Football Complex in Champaign. More than 20 Fighting Illini participated in front of representatives from all 32 NFL teams. 32 scouts were present. The day featured a mix of combine participants and players looking to boost their stock, with heavy focus on the offensive line and edge defenders. So first of all, the highest-rated prospect is Gabe Acas. That's the Jacas. Got to be careful saying that one. 6'4", 260. Team captain and one of Illinois' all-time great pass rushers. In 2025, he had 43 tackles, 13.5 tackles for a loss, 11 sacks, which led the Big Ten, including 3 forced fumbles. Second in school history with 27 sacks. He was a Senior Bowl participant. He did not work out at the Pro Day. At the Combine, he only performed the bench, where he did 30 reps. He is going to hold individual/private workouts for teams in early April. He is expected a day 2 pick. PFF put him 51 overall, remains one of the top edge prospects in the class, despite skipping on-field testing. Then we have Josh Geske, offensive guard, 6'5" and a quarter, 310 pounds. He performed quite well. He's not on the consensus board at all, so not even expected to have any success whatsoever, but we'll see how it goes. Apparently he was very impressive. Primarily has played left guard. He's a local to Montano, Illinois. He was an East-West Shrine Bowl participant. 4.94 40-yard dash, nearly 0.4 faster than expected. Short shuttle was 4.72, vert of 33 inches, broad jump 9.1, bench press 30 reps. He worked out at 310 pounds, which is down 25 pounds from his playing weight of 335, looked terrific in position drills, displayed excellent agility, quick feet, powerful hands. Houston Texans apparently ran the offensive line workout and met individually with him, also had face-to-face meetings with the Saints and Baltimore Ravens. Previously considered an underrated sleeper prospect, the workout significantly boosted his draft stock into a legitimate day 3 contender. A little bit more of a well-known prospect, J.C. Davis out of Illinois, offensive tackle, 6'6", 320 pounds. He was a combine participant and multi-year starter at tackle. He stood on his combine numbers for the most part, but added 21 bench press reps and a 7.85 second 3-cone. He's projected mid to late day 3. He's actually 141 on the consensus board. So right in that kind of mid to late range. Other notable performances, James Thompson Jr., defensive lineman, stole the show defensively with a staggering 36 bench press reps, which is the highest of the day. Also impressed in agility drills. He's a transfer from Wisconsin. Strong day, boosted his stock. Several other players included quarterback Luke Altmaier, wide receiver Hank Beatty, and offensive lineman Melvin Priestley also participated in receiving and received positive scout feedback. All right, Oklahoma Pro Day, March 12th, held at Everest Indoor Training Camp in Norman. Scouts and personnel from all 32 teams were present. One of the strongest turnouts. I keep saying that. Technically true. Roughly 14 former Sooners participated, with the focus squarely on the defensive front and secondary. Grayson Halton makes sense, probably a second-round pick, defensive tackle, 6'2.5", 295-ish. Explosive interior defensive lineman, posted one of the most impressive athletic performances of any defensive tackle at the NFL Combines, because he's one of the guys that's not 340 pounds. Stood on most of his combine numbers, which are 4.82 second 40, which is third among all defensive tackles, a 1.7 10-yard split, 36.5-inch vert, which was best among all defensive linemen by 2.5 inches, and a 9.6 broad jump. At the pro day, he completed 25 bench press reps before tweaking his hamstring. I don't know how you do that. And sitting out the rest of the day, described as not a big deal. Hopefully it's not. He did have one-on-one meetings with the New York Jets, the New York Giants, both showing him a lot of love, plus additional meetings with the Denver Broncos, Tennessee Titans, New England Patriots, and Minnesota Vikings. Vikings been pretty active. Stock is rising fast into a solid day 2, late round 2, early round 3 projection is most common. Rare combination of explosive first step quickness and athletic testing for a near 300-pound defensive tackle. Then we've got Robert Spears Jennings, safety, 6'1", 6'2", 206-ish, versatile safety, stood on his elite combine numbers, 4.32 second 40-yard dash and 10.5 broad jump. He improved his vert to 38 inches, which is 3 inches higher than his combine numbers, and clocked a 7.12 second 3-cone drill. He spent apparently an extensive amount of time with the New England Patriots, seen as a day 3 prospect with excellent range, physicality, and immediate special teams value. Where is he on the old consensus board here? Yeah, so he's 223. He is rising a little bit, but he's, 7th round prospect, somewhere in that range. That's mostly it for Oklahoma. Finally, we have the Georgia State Pro Day. The Georgia State Pro Day was held March 11th on the Georgia State campus in Atlanta, the outdoor practice field. 17 of 32 teams had scouts on hand. Strong turnout for a group of 5 program. Entire day was essentially the T. Hurst show, with virtually all attention focused on one player. No other Panthers generated meaningful NFL interest. Ted Hurst is that man, the 6'4", 206-pound wide receiver. I've said before, there's not a lot of Packer fans out there on hype trains or whatever. I've seen a little bit of Ted Hurst to the Packers recently. Former 0-star recruit from Savannah, Georgia. Began at Valdosta State, a Division II school, before transferring to Georgia State. Senior Bowl participant where he stood out as a 3-level threat and contested catch winner. 2025 stats, he had 71 receptions for 1,004 yards, 6 touchdowns, first team All-Sun Belt. In his career, 127 receptions, nearly 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns across 45 games. Stood on all his combine numbers, where he had a 4.42 2-second 40-yard dash, which again is pretty elite for a guy that's, 6'4", 206. 36.5-inch vert, 11.3 broad jump, one of the best of the wide receiver group. Also posted a 1.55 second 10-yard split. Did not retest at the pro day, focused on position drills and route running. Scouts reported he looked good catching the ball, showing excellent body control, large catch radius, and competitiveness in contested situations. As far as team interest, Minnesota Vikings wide receivers coach Keenan McCardell and Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver coach Troy Walters made dedicated trips to evaluate him personally, which is notable given free agency was still active at the time. I mean, still is, but it was, in the throes of it. Additionally, pre-draft visits were already scheduled with the New York Giants, New Orleans Saints, and Miami Dolphins. According to Tony Pauline, some people believe Hurst may end up in the 3rd round and won't get out of the 4th round. Current big boards have him as high as 79. I'm sure somebody has him higher, but that's the highest that we could find. PFF has him at 104, with consensus placing him in a strong day 2, 3 type of prospect. Rounds 2 to 4 range is kind of the expectation. One of the fastest rising small school receivers in the draft. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Well, Ted Hurst is already, his profile's already filled out on my big board. So why don't we take a look at Robert Spears Jennings? All right, Robert Spears Jennings, 6'2", 205 from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. He was an East-West Shrine Bowl participant, expected to go 5th, 6th round. Homegrown dual threat, dynamo, consensus 4-star recruit, one of Oklahoma's top 10 high school talents. He's ranked number 10 safety nationally by ESPN, number 11 Rivals, number 12 24/7 Sports. He earned Oklahoma's All-District 6AI Safety of the Year honors after a senior year that included 56 tackles, 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles in the defense, plus 36 receptions. A lot of stuff going on in high school. Also ran track in the 100 and 200 meters, chose the Sooners over Arkansas, Ole Miss, and others, enrolled early in January 2022. 4-year rotational piece, appeared in 47 games, 25 starts. Finished with, we already went over a lot of his stats, I think. Let's take a look at his PFF real quick since it's getting into that now. All right, so interesting, and we'll see as we kind of get into this, the thoughts on this, but the breakout year was 2024, followed by a pretty big regression. So 4 years at Oklahoma, didn't really start until year 3. So he had 75 snaps as a rookie, 62 grade. 240 snaps as a sophomore, 67 grade. So he took a big step up, especially run defense and tackling is definitely his MO. Coverage is questionable. So he played about a half a season, went from a 63 to a 67. His run defense went from a 60 to a 75. Then in 2024, he got his first start, about 600 snaps, and this was his best season. 79 overall, 93 run defense grade, 80 tackling, 83 pass rush, even though just 12 attempts, 63 coverage, which is about average for him, but also, again, not really his strong suit. 2025 was the big drop-off, almost entirely. Well, number one, his elite run defense went back to being good. It was a 78 run defense. His very good tackling went back to being good, 80 down to a 73. The pass rush went back to being eh. The biggest thing, though, was a massive drop-off in coverage. So his first 3 years were 64, 62, 63. That was just right in line with what he's done his entire career. 2025, it went down to a 49.6. Statistically, it wasn't all that different than previous years. So it's going to be kind of down to the scouting staffs or whatever if they agree with PFF's assessment of that. It was a 118.9 passer rating when targeted, which is not good, but his career average is 113.2. He did give up 2 interceptions, but he gave up 1 every other year. He had 1 interception, which is the most he's had in a year. He had 1 pass breakup. That's the most that he's had in a year. So, I mean, very obviously, this guy is a guy you want in the box. I mean, he's a freaking hammer. He's a phenomenal run defender. He's a phenomenal tackler. The coverage is very suspect, but he's massive. You know, what is he listed at here? Well, it says 205 here. PFF has him 213. I wonder if he slimmed down. I hope he didn't. I mean, that's kind of your one thing, dude. One of the biggest things, again, the thought here is he's this big hammer of a guy, but, there's some concerns. Ran a 4.32, tied for the second fastest at the position with a 1.5, 110-yard split. So that went a long way to shutting up a lot of skeptics. Doesn't mean he can use the speed and cover and do all these kind of things, but it's a heck of a thing to be a big hammer safety that has that kind of speed. And I think it kind of took a lot of people by surprise. Led the nation in disruption with 4 forced fumbles in 2024, including a career-high 13 tackle, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble game versus Tennessee. His 2024 total of 5 career forced fumbles shows violent hands at the point of attack. Pure playmaking juice that NFL special teams coaches will covet immediately. That's a good point, too. He was all-district wide receiver in high school, so as far as, his hands or whatever, it's to his benefit, I suppose. I mean, he's got, 3 or however many years you want to credit him of playing college football, not necessarily showing the greatest hands. I don't know how many dropped interceptions he has. Maybe he caught everything that came his way. I don't know. But that's obviously a benefit for a guy that, there's going to be questions about the coverage side of things. There are comments about his senior slump, so it is kind of a known thing without any real explanation. There doesn't seem to be any kind of an injury that I can see, so I don't know if it was a schematic change. I don't know. Shrine Bowl standout earned East-West Shrine Bowl invite and turned heads with one-on-one reps, also recognized for off-field impact. All-State Werfler Trophy watch list, clean profile, leadership intangibles, teams love. Some of his strengths: elite top-end speed and explosiveness, physical run stuffing enforcer, natural ball skills with wide receiver background, versatile zone coverage feel, impressive length and frame. Weaknesses: man coverage technique. I'm going to be honest. I mean, it's nice to have, depending on, I guess, your scheme, but I'm not asking my safety to press up on receivers all that often. Average agility metrics, and the production dip being another one of the negatives. Fully healthy 4-year contributor with no major injuries, which is huge. Clean off-the-field record, SEC academic honor roll, community service recognition, professional demeanor, and high character reported across the board. Comps: primary comp, Jalen Reed, Philadelphia Eagles. Similar size, speed blend, physical run support, and zone instincts with ball skills from a versatile background. Both profiles scream tone setter in the box who needs help in man. Secondary comp, Tyson Anderson for the Bengals, athletic freak who flashes in zone and on special teams, but carry agility questions. So there you go. Should be again, it's going to be kind of scheme dependent. If you want a guy, who the heck is calling me? All right, had to go jump a car. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be for everybody, but in the right scheme, being given the right assignments, I think he could be a fun piece. All right, I'm going to get out of here. This needed to be uploaded an hour and a half ago, so we got to get rocking. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.